everyone else spends their time related to Baker Mayfield debating his height, the former Texas Tech Raider spends his time producing. The results-oriented quarterback has a thing or two in common with Seahawks QB Russell Wilson, and recently spent some time with Wilson for our new series, QB2QB.
Stand up real quick. Let me see what you're talking about.
I got my Converse on.
You got your Converse on? I got my Maxes on, so I'm cool. Who's taller, y'all?
No, Russ.
Stand up on my tippy toes. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So, obviously, I'm taller than you, first of all. But you know what's funny is throughout my whole time coming out, you know, my one knock really was that I wasn't tall enough. My height.
Yeah.
Right? And despite all the things you do, all the touchdowns, all the plays you make, people are gonna always try to knock that. And I think it's because of the stereotypical, like, okay, you gotta be this tall or whatever. For me though, I see through lanes, you know, you anticipate, you know what you're thinking, you know. So what is it like for you? Like, you know, for young kids who wanna be like Baker Mayfield, despite that I'm, you know, 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1", you know, what does that mean for you? You know, how do you play? How do you make plays?
It's exactly like that. You gotta see lanes. You gotta be able to move and create your own windows. And for me, same thing for you. Being able to change my arm angle, a lot from the baseball background helped me a lot. Just being able to throw, whether the window was over, I can see right here, but the throwing lane is right here. I got to throw the sidearm. It's just like you said, finding that throwing lane.
I think also too, because Drew and I talk about this a lot. Drew Brees and I talk about the
You guys are
awareness.
the gurus, yeah.
It's the awareness. It's the innate thing that I mean. We've grown up this height. It's not like I'm all of a sudden, you know, went from 6'4" to 5'11" or whatever. You know, this is what I am. You know, and this is what I know.
Here we go, the playoff semifinal, Rose Bowl number 104.
Rose Bowl, I mean, obviously I'd love to have that game back and the outcome be differently, but, you know, the game was unbelievable. I mean, we came out lights out.
He'll throw late, Baker! It's a touchdown! Baker Mayfield caught it! Oh, mama!
You know, had a little bit of a rocky third quarter, let them back in the game.
Momentum has been wrestled away by the Dogs.
And it turned out to be, you know, just a thrilling finish.
Throws end zone, touchdown!
It was a great game for people to watch. Obviously, I'd like to have it back, but one that I'll definitely never forget.
Sonny Michel will send the Dogs home to the championship game.
The heartache of defeat. You know, because as people like you and I, we're obsessed with winning. You know, and what it takes, and so, you know. What is it like for you? What is it like for you when you lose? I hate it. I hate losing.
I think I hate losing more than I love winning.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
I don't know. But it's that for us, we were so close to that national title. And I said it at the beginning of the year, the reason I wanted to come back for my senior year, the reason I want to play at OU, I dreamed of winning a national title for them. And it being that close, it's like everything you worked for all those months leading up to that one day, and you're coming up that short, it's just, and you think about it, and that's what hurts the most. And you can look back on 3 to 4 plays maybe that you would love to take back and do over.
I call those gap plays, game-altering plays. You know, there's always 3 to 4 plays that happen that either tilt the game one way or tilt it the other way.
Oh, and I can visualize it right now.
That always happens. You know, I think for me, even the heartache of obviously losing the Super Bowl and feeling what that feels like, you know, it is no worse feeling than getting that close.
Lynch in the backfield. Russell throws inside. Oh my God, he's picked off at the goal line.
Like somebody just stabbed you in the heart, you know. But that's the part of the journey.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the part of the journey that as competitors we have to embrace. You know, every great player has lost. Every great player has faced difficult times. I think that's what drives me every day, is I don't want to ever have that feeling again. Like we talked about, it's one play at a time, it's one moment at a time. Especially playing quarterback, you gotta have amnesia, you gotta let it go, you know, and let the moments go. Whether they're good, bad, indifferent, you have to be able to say, okay, I'm moving forward. I'm never gonna let one play define my career, you know, good or bad, you know.
Really interesting conversation between those two for obvious reasons, and I think an interesting potential draftee. I say that about all of them, but it'll be interesting to see where he lands, Todd. And after he transferred to Oklahoma, known as much for some of those crazy plays as some of the crazy antics, but you watched him so much on film. What'd you see?
Well, first of all, people in the league, when you talk to them, as you well know, you're either all in on him or you just think he's not going to get it done at the next level. There's not a lot of in between with Baker Mayfield. Yes, we know about the antics, we know about the height, but what I love is he has the best resume of any of these quarterbacks at 41-6. And when you look at him, he has great traits too. Instincts inside the pocket. He feels pressure. He's not the greatest athlete. He's not the fastest runner at the quarterback position, but he extends so many plays because he feels pressure and he knows where to move within the pocket. He got better at staying patient in the pocket, specifically after the Iowa State loss this year. You watch his tape beyond that point, it was a clear point of emphasis of becoming more patient, allowing the play to develop, and that's what Russell Wilson is. It's not Johnny Manziel, it's more Russell Wilson. And then this is kind of the stuff he brings, the energy and the competitiveness. Look at this dude. Yeah. I mean, I'm not condoning blocking a lot in the NFL for an undersized quarterback or any quarterback, but
we'll get that lesson now.
You see what he brings in terms
First time he gets hit, he'll learn.
In terms of the energy and leadership. This guy, I mean, you can't find a player on that team who legitimately wouldn't go to the end with him. I mean, he's their guy.
There's always a range in the draft, or at least a range we think. You know, the highest he may go and where he may fall.
Right.
What's his range in this draft?
Well, I think when you look at the quarterbacks, this is going back to 2013, so that's good. But we can talk about it. Well, Jeff Saturday will be using this one later today, I believe.
That's what we call a tease.
Saturday, I told you to keep those offensive lineman hands off of this thing. But Baker, I think 3 to the Jets is the earliest, but it's also becoming more and more likely. I think the New York Jets really like Baker Mayfield, and if Sam Darnold doesn't fall, that would take Josh Allen going 1 and probably Saquon Barkley, the running back, going number 2 to the Giants. Then I think Darnold becomes the pick for the Jets. But if Mayfield's there and Darnold is gone, I think Mayfield's the pick at 3. Denver, there's a lot of talk about Mayfield. I don't know that they want to pull the trigger on a quarterback after already spending the money that they did at the quarterback position in free agency. But then I think when you look beyond that, Miami at 11 is a strong possibility, and worst case, I would guess, would be number 12 to the Buffalo Bills.
So 3 to 12, so to speak. So in that top 15, I think his personality would be interesting with the New York Jets, by the way. We also discussed yesterday at length sort of the vertically challenged, the height issue, if you will, and I think it's a little unfair. We compare him to other quarterbacks, his height, but let's take that out of the equation and give me a quarterback, height notwithstanding, that plays like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, this is a classic from our producer, Todd Snyder, who's going to make me now compare him to someone who's 6'4" and over, and there's not many of those guys in the league. But Phillip Rivers, to me, would make some sense when you compare the two. If you have to find a quarterback who's 6'4" or taller and has had success in the league, the first thing is deep accuracy. Second thing is their resumes coming out of school in terms of a 4-year starter, highly productive, been through a lot of battles at the quarterback position. And then the third thing, I think, is the energy that I talked about and competitiveness. If you're on his team, you love him. And I'm talking about Rivers and Mayfield. If you're not and you're going up against them, you cannot stand. They just drive you crazy. So I think that, to me, is part of the comparison.
And you know what? That's okay. That's all right. As long as it's your guys who love you, you're in good shape. What do you hear, Jeff? I know you've canvassed the league and talking about the draft.
Right. Well, what's most interesting about Baker to me is the more people you talk to, especially head coaches, they adore him. And like a lot of these guys love that swagger. People try to talk about that as something that is a knock on him. In the league, the people I talk to believe that's one of his best assets. The one thing I'll point out here in terms of his draft stock is the head coaches love him. Are they going to jump on the table and convince the decision maker, the person who's pulling the trigger on that draft pick, to take Baker Mayfield? Because I could see general managers more often being reserved about this, whereas the head coaches are in there like, this is the guy, go get him. So I think that will have a significant impact on draft day on where he ends up.
Well, I think Todd's got a great point, and I've heard that before. He's polarizing, right? You're all in or you're not. There's not a lot of middle ground. With Baker Mayfield.
They love him, though. They love him.
Listen, there is a lot to love.
Same in Norman. You can't find a person there.
Yeah, and you've said that before as well.